I had an unbelievable amount of success with a deck that nobody thinks is good anymore, and I think everyone is wrong about. That's right, it's Thanos. Now, you might look at this deck and say, Cam, what are you doing? Why is there no Shang-Chi in the most teched out deck you've ever seen? What is this Red Skull doing here? Well, one of the key things about playing a deck full of answers is that they have to be the right answers for the moment. And in this current metagame, the strongest tech card against a lot of Mr. Fantastic decks is going to be a Shadow King. And the strongest tech card against Cerebro is actually not a tech card at all. It's Red Skull. That's really the guy that's going to be that for this deck. So in order to answer the variously large Cerebro decks, we have Red Skull to win that matchup. In order to answer the big stacking power buff Mr. Fantastic decks, we have Shadow King. And then you start thinking, where does Shang-Chi actually fit in this metagame? There aren't really a lot of decks that are just doing big guys. I don't know if anyone else is aware of this, but Denish even has stopped playing Hela because he's just getting stat checked by the decks that are playing a bunch of 3s and 4s. Big guys don't have a lot of space right now, and obviously that could change, but with Human Torch coming out, I'm not sure it's actually likely to do so. With all of that in mind, I do think that this is as good as you get for a tech deck. And if you think about the ethos of this deck, I want to play every tech card, and I want to play the ones that are important for this metagame, it starts to make a lot more sense. Once you start at what deck can reasonably afford to play Red Skull and also Shadow King, you really don't actually have a lot of options. There are only a few decks that are going to be able to do that basically ever. One of the other options that I was considering here is taking all the other tech out and just going for like a Surtur Tens style of deck. I think that could also legitimately work in this context because the cards that are doing the most work are Shadow King and Red Skull in those prominent matchups. Shang-Chi has very few targets, but I have enjoyed having Enchantress in here. I was swapping out between the two of them, but Enchantress also has the possibility to turn off your Red Skull. This is not a play pattern that you take advantage of very often, mostly, if I'm being honest, because of the fact that investing a 5 and a 4 in a lane is usually not a great way to actually win the other lanes, but it can happen some of the time, depending on what locations end up showing up for you. On the whole, this is a deck that works the way I think you will reasonably understand. This is a full tech Thanos deck. It'll look a little weird at first, but once you start understanding that Red Skull is just your anti-Cerebro tech because nothing else actually works against a Cerebro 3 with a Cosmo, then this whole deck starts making sense. The rest of the deck is all the same stuff you would normally expect from a list like this. A bunch of good 2s, our usual Strange Supreme package. All of that is exactly as you remember it. It's just a difference in how we approach teching for this metagame. Strange Supreme is still a powerful stat stick right now. Keep in mind that other people are also playing Shadow King though, so your Cosmo is going to be necessary to protect this guy. He can help you snowball, but it is important to balance Strange Supreme and Mockingbird. If I am in a situation where I have to choose between Strange Supreme and Mockingbird, a lot of the time what I'll try to do is get both of them down before I start eating my stuff with Strange Supreme or plan ahead such that I will be able to say play Mockingbird on 4 after playing Strange Supreme and a Stone on 3, having played a couple of Stones already. This is important. Like, it's not just important in the context of Strange Supreme, who is a big guy, but it's also important because you really do actually need both. The reason Thanos gets to function as a tech shell is because it gets to cheat on points by having these cards that allow it to get points for doing what it's already trying to do, which is just play out the stones. When you have these cards, it's important to get value out of both of them when you can, because we're in a very high-powered meta, tech cards or no. He's just here because he's good. I know people are going to be like, what's the budget replacement for this guy? A 2. Pick a 2. Play Surge, play Gorgon, pick a 2 that you think is good. You do not need him. I was literally just messing around. I felt like he was pretty good, but like, it's not, oh my God, I can't play this deck without Mr. Fantastic. It's just like, I am very sure that he's not wrong, is the best way to phrase it. I know that he's going to be at least pretty decently good, and so that means that I don't have to very highly investigate what this card actually should be. play Herbie, whatever, that's fine. The original version of this deck that I was playing came from Crazy, I believe, and he was actually playing Herbie instead of Sam Wilson. I went back to Sam Wilson in part to alleviate the sort of interactions that you might see, or mostly the issue that I talked about when I talked about Strange Supreme and Mockingbird conflicting. Just having that extra body for free makes that conflict happen a lot less. Herbie is probably a stronger card in a vacuum, but I've just been really impressed with Sam Wilson, and I feel like the deck got a lot better once I made that change. A defining tech card in a metagame that is defined by, in part, Mr. Fantastic buffs. This guy is obviously amazing because what Mr. Fantastic does is he encourages you to make decks full of buffs. This is the guy who shuts down the buffs. Very straightforward. Your only real concerns are things like Juggernaut and Cosmo out of the Mr. Fantastic buff decks, which is a real concern, but it's not like you're not gonna pack a Shadow King in this meta. You gotta make him happen. He is mostly on Protect Strange Supreme duty, but not always. Cosmo's a good boy. He can stop a lot of things from happening. Things like Silver Surfer can be shut down by this guy. Various discard combo things can be shut down by this guy. Sometimes you'll get some weird things like being able to shut down like a move bounce deck. Just a good card to have if you are already outputting points in a different way. And that's sort of the ethos of this deck. You use the stones, Strange Supreme, and Mockingbird to output points, and then pick and choose the relevant tech for the matchup that you're in. I've never been sad to have a Mobius in a deck like this, and I think that is part of what I like about Thanos, is that the investment you make in your points package is actually fairly minimal in terms of cards in the deck, because the stones are part of it and they just get added to the deck anyway. So it allows you a sort of depth, or I should say breadth of tech options that a normal deck would struggle to sustain because they need to put points somewhere. But you really just need to put Thanos and Strange Supreme and Mockingbird in your deck, and it's like, okay, well, there's my points package. And so that allows you to have this massive variety of options, of which Mobius is obviously a potent one. Another deviation from the original list that Crazy put out, I found that I was lacking not necessarily just mid-game, but the ability to actually play all of my cards out a lot of the time. Luna Snow just at base is a 3/6, but beyond that, it's a 3/6 that helps you ramp. It's a 3/6 that creates something for Strange Supreme to eat or discounts your Mockingbird, and it makes your general play pattern easier. Plus, as a tech deck, you are very prepared for your opponent's output. When your opponent gets extra energy, they usually invest that energy into doing more stuff. You have a million cards in your deck, all of which say all that stuff you did doesn't matter. This allows you to sort of mitigate the potential downside of a Luna Snow by just saying, hey, look, yeah, I actually want you to invest all of the cards in your hand onto the board earlier, because that way I just know where my tech gets to go. Good for me. She zaps ongoings. That's what Enchantress does. There are still going to be decks that are going to be able to go over the top of what you're able to do, and some of them are going to involve ongoings. Things like Living Tribunal, maybe a Gore out of Mr. Negative. This is the kind of stuff that can beat you even if you Mobius a Mr. Negative. So it's very important to make sure that you have answers to that kind of stuff. Now, there is like sort of an open question as to whether this slot should be Shang-Chi, but I gotta tell you, I very rarely run into things that I can reasonably Shang-Chi at this point. It's not the most common thing to see actual 10s on the board, especially when you think about it in priority. Like maybe you'll see a 10 on the board, but only under the hidden bit of priority so that you can't actually Shang it anyway. I have never felt worse about Shang-Chi, and so for that reason, I've opted for the higher potential of Enchantress because it also works with Red Skull and just baseline is a 4/6. I don't know if you're aware of this, but we have no tech cards against Cerebro. None whatsoever. This is the only guy. What Red Skull does in a Cerebro matchup is you put him in whichever lane that you're pretty sure they were already going to win, or to be clear, whichever lane that which you are confident in winning the other two. Red Skull puts all the buffs from the Cerebro into that one lane. You win the other two. GG, GG. It's not as easy as it sounds. You actually do have to make sure you have, say, more than 9 to 12 power in the other two lanes. That does matter. And you have to be sure that you actually are doing that. And this deck can actually fail at that if you get a bad enough draw, because you could just be looking at no stones and all your hand is tech and you're playing a 3/3 on turn 3 and then like a 4/6 for tempo. That's Enchantress. it can be bad. It really can. So with all of that in mind, it is important to understand that this is not just an I win button, it just commonly is an I win button. Eliath is your other like catch-all sort of answer. You have all of these very specific tech cards that do very specific things. A lot of the time what Eliath does is let you set up games such that it's just answering whatever it is they're playing. It doesn't actually matter. We've already locked the game down. We've got Eliath to close it up. That is what everyone's favorite Purple Fart Cloud can do in this deck. This deck is held up by the skin of its teeth by Mockingbird and Strange Supreme. All of this whole conception of Thanos as tech deck is predicated on those cards, converting your stones into points. That's literally it. The Thanos as tech deck thing does not work without either of these cards. In as much as there are budget replacements for many of the things that we've talked about in this deck, there are no budget replacements for Strange Supreme and Mockingbird and a Thanos deck that's built like this. Thanos is definitely weaker, especially now that we've lost out on the Time Stone into Thanos thing. Like, yeah, Space Stone having slightly more point, okay, you know, that's cool. It means our Strange Supreme is on average like a decent amount bigger. Okay, you know, whatever. Space Stone now having the fail case of if you have Thanos in hand, you don't actually draw a card on him is really bad. And so I think on the whole, it feels like Thanos lost about half a draw plus the card in hand, which is a big downside. So like, I think the card in hand is worth a little more than a draw. So gut check, Thanos is notably weaker. The reason we're playing Thanos is because it's hard for me to think of another deck that can actually afford to play Red Skull in it. And I think a lot of it is just down to Thanos has this built-in Mockingbird Strange Supreme point package so that I can rely on that for the points, and I get to play Red Skull and just sort of figure out where to go from there because I want to actually have a tech card that beats Cerebro. The biggest problem with tech decks right now is they do not have a way to beat Cerebro. They put a Cosmo on your Cerebro lane, you die. And so you just absolutely cannot play a tech deck unless you have an answer. So that's what this is trying to solve. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been KMBest. You have been phenomenal. We're about to jump into the gameplay, and nothing can change that. Decks, like all Mr. Fantastic stuff, Cerebro stuff, we got a pretty good idea of what those are. Wow, this hand is atrocious. It just got way better. It just got way better. Mercury. Okay. That. Getting mega inched. Wait, it actually is C2? Holy shit. Owned. He shows up now. Shit. The jerk. Goodbye, Ajax. Goodbye, man thing. Fair enough. Red Skull is here to mess up Cerebro. I got a Mobius. I'm chill. Oh, damn. Let's see if we can ape this. Eat it. Woo! We love a Red Skull! We love a Red Skull! He's here for this and this alone. If it was, then I just totally fucked it up. I could have played Thanos left. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah, I should have played Thanos left. Yeah, that's just way worse. Wow. Fascinating. I have to play Eliath for power here. I'm really thinking about it. Oh, fuck. That kills me for sure, right? Okay, that is nice. That is also nice. Somehow we got away with it. They just didn't have shit. It's fine. We were gonna win that regardless. Let's go. I was really afraid of the thing that goes boom on the Smithsonian Museum. You gotta do it. It's gotta happen. Skull is our tech for Cerebro. There's really not another card that does it, so we use Red Skull. There's really just not another card that does it. I don't know. Yeah, that seems like it would be an L to me. Oh, God, I haven't seen a hand this bad since the start of the stream. Oof. Hello? Don't seem to want. You get 1 stone. It enables a Mockingbird on the Grand Prix. Don't have 1 stone, but it's okay. I alt F4. Oh, Captain Carter. You're not getting that extra energy. Fortunate. In a game against Captain Carter, I can tell you that much. Opposite of the GOAT. Although, whoa! Holy shit! Oh, I did not expect that. Worth a shot, right? The old make a play, put the snipe shield up, and then make it